Space, the final frontier.
Hello everyone, today I'm going to teach you some science. Specifically about the possibility of life on other planets and what it might look like. NASA has discovered several thousand planets that are possible for life and keep discovering more every day. There are even some candidate planets in our own system. Now what specifically makes a planet sustainable for life? Rocky planets like our Earth would have to be within a certain distance of its star in order to contain water without it being vaporized off its surface. This perfect little area that's not too hot and not too cold is known as the habitable zone or Goldilocks zone of a star, which can depend on how big the star is and what kind of star it is. The habitable zone doesn't necessarily apply to icy planets. Here's a comparison of the TRAPPIST-1 habitable zone and the habitable zone of our solar system with the area that's just right shown in green. What all do you need to make a habitable planet besides being in the habitable zone? You need an atmosphere which will shield creatures and plants from radiation and keeps the planet warm. It needs to be made of rock and needs to be big enough to have a molten core that creates a magnetic field around the planet. The planet needs to also have geological activity, which supports and regulates the carbon dioxide cycle. In order to start life, we also need a dash of organic materials, and under these right conditions can begin to make cells. The organic materials often come from outside sources, like asteroids. Now let's take a look at a few of many thousands of candidate planets. Earlier this year, NASA discovered a planetary system called TRAPPIST-1. TRAPPIST-1 is only 40 light years away in the constellation of Aquarius. 7 planets orbit around this system star, and all 7 are closer to their own sun than Mercury is to ours. The only reason why these planets don't burn up while being so close to the star is because it's a cool red dwarf. 3 of the planets in this system are in the habitable zone, and Hubble recently discovered the possibility of water existing here. There is evidence that the planets closer to the star could have lost water equivalent to 20 of Earth's oceans. Life on TRAPPIST-1 will look so much different than our own planet. All of the planets are tidally locked, so creatures would have to adapt to extreme temperature changes, solar flares, and be able to thrive in infrared and red light. Plants here might look red or black, adapted to absorb different wavelengths of light. Now let's take a look at candidates a little closer to home. Jupiter's moon Europa is the strongest candidate for containing life in our solar system. It's possible that an ocean is hidden beneath its icy surface, which would be heated by volcanic vents on the ocean floor. If life appeared here, it would work way differently than on Earth. Creatures here would have to deal with minimal energy sources, and some scientists figure that life on Europa would be microscopic and primitive. It is possible that life here could bear some resemblance to what we see at the bottom of our oceans, with creatures surviving in extreme situations. Hopefully someday we can send a probe to investigate if there really is life in a subsurface ocean here. Saturn's moon Titan is another candidate for life. It bears some similarities to Europa, as in it's also an icy planet. Titan is too cold to support liquid water, but it does have lakes and rivers containing liquid methane and ethane on its surface. There's a possibility that liquid methane could support life like water does. Liquid water could also possibly exist on the planet through asteroid collisions melting parts of the surface and volcanic eruptions. There's also a possibility of an ocean below the surface like with Europa. Mars is another place where life could possibly exist in our solar system. Though all the liquid water that once existed on its surface is gone, there is ice on the surface as well as underground. There is a possibility of microscopic organisms living in these underground pools of ice or water. Mars rovers are currently investigating the possibility of life by taking a look at the soil composition for biochemical markers inside of it. Scientists would try and look for DNA within samples of Mars's soil, but Martian DNA might be significantly different than the DNA found on Earth. These are only a few of many planets with the possibility of life existing on them. Hopefully we'll find actual proof one day, but for now, our ideas of what aliens look like are left up to the media.
Fine. I'm sorry for setting your car on fire.
Awful lot of trouble for a dead religion. I admit this does seem rather elaborate.
Thanks so much for watching, and I hope you learned a lot.